All right. Hello, everybody. Last minute adjustment on the camera there. How you doing? Another live stream from American Soccer Quick Kicks. I'm your host, David Wright. Um, you may have noticed that last week's video is not on my channel anymore. I really enjoy doing a little video film breakdown session of the some of the goals that Chelsea scored in the Club World Cup final, and I hope some of you got to see that. It was the early numbers are tracking well. I think it was catching on, but turns out FIFA doesn't really like me doing that sort of thing. It got struck down for copyright claim, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. That particular video is available. I just can't put it on YouTube. If you're interested in seeing that, I can make that available to you. Otherwise, we'll have to see what we can do in the future going forward about those types of videos, because I really enjoy doing it, and I got some good early feedback from some of you. So I'm hoping I can find a way to make that happen. Could be the kind of thing that I do live only, and it does not sit on my channel. I don't know if YouTube even wants me saying that much, but we'll see. Well, I really enjoyed doing that, and I thought it went really well. And I was like, this is it. This is my channel. This is what I'm going to do from now on. But you get too many strikes, and then they take your whole channel away. So I'm going to have to be careful about how I do that. Anyway, a little bit of a lull here. We finished up Club World Cup and Gold Cup. Next week, the Leagues Cup gets started. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I'll talk about it next week. But what I can tell you is that this past week had a lot of fun. I joined one of the friends of the show here, Larry, who I believe is in the room with us. We met up in Chattanooga and attended a minor league soccer game. We watched the Chattanooga Red Wolves in action. They are a USL League Two team, which means they're in Division III. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's what I want to talk about. I want to break down a little bit tonight how soccer is organized in the different divisions, the different divisions of play, levels of professionalism, the differences between the major leagues and the minor leagues, what those leagues are, who they are, and also what's the criteria that the U.S. Soccer Federation sets that allows you to qualify for being at one of those levels. So anyway, I'm going to break all that down for you and kind of show you how all of the professional and amateur leagues in the United States are organized. And I hope that I can make it clear. A lot of times this gets talked about a lot. I'll refer to the different divisions when I'm talking about US Open Cup, because that's a tournament where everybody can play in it. And then also in conversations like this, where I say, I went to go see Chattanooga Red Wolves play. Well, Chattanooga has a second team also. They're in a different league. So unless you understand the landscape, that can be all very confusing. I have a couple of infographics to help us out. I don't know if they are the most up-to-date, but the best ones I can find. So I'm going to, once again, go to my new toy, the share screen, and I'm going to show you how it breaks down. And I'm going to explain a little bit of what the requirements are for each of the divisions. And I see I have a few people in the room with me live. Thanks for being here, guys. Feel free to jump into the chat, and I am going to see if I can pull this up. Okay. So I learned through experimentation last week that you can see my mouse moving. So that's good. So this is the U.S. Soccer Pyramid. And so let's see. First thing I want to tell you is that if you're someone who follows English soccer or European soccer, or really almost anywhere around the world, you're familiar with the idea of promotion relegation, which means that through merit, entire clubs can either climb up or down the ladder of the different levels of the leagues. The United States does not have that. We don't have that model, although it exists at some smaller scale, and I'll get into that in just a second. So what I want to do is just start at the very top. We have Division I soccer in the United States, and I'm going to get in just a minute here. I'm going to get into what constitutes Division I, what qualifies a league. When a league comes into existence, when they're launching, they have to apply to a U.S. Soccer Federation for their sanctioning, as far as like how they're going to be identified as what division they're playing in, and there's different criteria for that. As it happens, right now there is only one Division One league in America, and that's Major League Soccer. Major League Soccer does not get a monopoly on Division One. If somebody else wants to get into business and they can meet the criteria that I'm about to go over in a minute, then they can be right here alongside them. But there hasn't been anybody else with Major League Soccer in this top tier really ever in the entire existence of Major League Soccer. So, and so what I can tell you about Major League Soccer is that it currently has 30 teams. And I'll go ahead and give you the criteria as we go. Okay. So we're going to stick to Division One. This is where the league is held to U.S. Soccer's highest standard that they have in place, that you're required to meet if you want to be taken seriously as a top flight Division One soccer league. And so you have to, when you launch in Division One, you have to start with a minimum of 12 teams, and you have to make it to 14 teams, 14 clubs by year 3. All right, MLS has nothing to worry about. They've got 30 teams right now, and they've gone through rapid expansion over the last 10 years or so. There are other considerations if you want to successfully be deemed a Division One league. You have to exist in 3 time zones. You have to have clubs in the Eastern, Central, and Pacific time zones. The Mountain Zone doesn't rate because the population is so sparse. You have to have market size, a minimum requirement on the market size. At least 75% of your league's teams have to be in market sizes with more than 1 million people in it. The stadiums have to be enclosed. You have to have controlled entrance and exits. Okay, it can't be some open field like at a public park somewhere. Okay, these are the standards they're putting into place. You got to have an actual stadium. And in Division One, you have to have a minimum of 15,000 capacity. And most of MLS has soccer-specific stadiums owned by the clubs. Most of them around the 20 to 25,000 seat range. The primary owner has to be worth at least $40 million. And there have to be media partners for the league, whether that's broadcasting, cable, or streaming. Okay. All of that has to be in place. You have to have broadcast partners. You have to be in 3 time zones. You got to have a 15,000 seat stadium. All this has to happen with at least 12 teams, or you're not going to be Division One. Okay. So that is just the highest level. Those are the standards in place for the highest level professional league in America. And right now, MLS is the only team that meets that requirement. Going down a level, this is Division Two. Okay, so this is called USL Championship. Don't be confused by the word championship. England does this also. Okay, you have the second division of professional soccer is called USL Championship. As it happens, it is currently the only league in this division, but there can be more if other entities can step up and meet the criteria. So this is essentially, you can kind of think of this as like AAA baseball. It's not a developmental league. It's not a farm system that feeds directly into MLS. So it's not a perfect analogy, but just in terms of there being multiple levels of minor leagues, and this is the highest level of minor league, that makes this kind of the best I could say is like AAA baseball. Okay. So USL Championship is something that USL has been around for a while. It's growing a lot. I'm really excited about what USL is doing and the system they're putting into place. And they have a lot of visions for the future, and I wish them well. So, but first, before I go any further into that, let me tell you what the criteria are for Division Two leagues in the United States. So, my first note. So let me just tell you, where MLS has 30 clubs, the USL Championship currently has 24. So in terms of the number of clubs, they're pretty comparable already to Major League Soccer. And instead of launching with 12 teams and getting to 14 by year 3, at Division Two, you have to have at least 8 teams to get started. and you have to have 10 clubs by your third year. You need to be in 2 time zones, 2 of those 3 that I mentioned earlier. Your market size, at least 3/4 of your clubs need to be in market sizes of 750,000 people or more. And your enclosed stadium needs to be able to seat at least 5,000 people. Okay, so there's still some, there's still some standards there, but obviously they're lower. So these are going to be your smaller market teams that are probably too small to be in Major League Soccer. Birmingham, Alabama has a USL Championship team, for example. They're the ones closest to me of where I am, and so that's just to give you one example. Now, before I explain to you USL's future vision, I'm going to go ahead and drop down to the 3rd level. Okay. Now, this 3rd division of men's soccer is the lowest level of professional soccer. Okay. After we drop below this level, we get into semi-pro and amateur play. So at the 3rd level, which is the lowest level of professional soccer, we have these leagues. Now, like I said, none of these leagues have a monopoly on their division. There just happens to be no competition for MLS at Division 1 or for USL Championship at Division 2. But at Division 3, you do have different leagues. These are entirely independent of each other. They're separately run entities. They just happened to all fall into this level of criteria that the U.S. Soccer Federation has set. So USL League One, of course, is a part of the USL's overall, larger model. These are not farm teams for the championship clubs. These are separate teams. Okay. Now there are 14. There are currently 14 teams in USL League One. There are going to be 7 more joining next year. So USL League One is growing. This is the league that the Chattanooga Red Wolves are in. This is the league I saw in action last week. So to be in Division 3, you have to have at least 8 teams. There's no requirement to grow that over a certain number of years. Your stadium has to hold at least 1,000, which is not hard. And I think I skipped the net worth of the primary owner at Division 2, which is 20 million. And here at the 3rd level, it is only 10 million. So that's the case for Division 3. Now, all of these leagues meet that criteria. Now, let me explain who these guys are. USL League One is its own independent league, and it has the support and the infrastructure and like the corporate backing and everything else of these other USL leagues you see here. They're all kind of obviously working together. This one is MLS Next Pro. These are developmental teams. These are directly affiliated with Major League Soccer clubs. This is the reserve league. This is where the guys go to develop. And when these guys are in a crunch for personnel to fill a roster, they can drop down. They can pull from their farm team. Okay. So again, if this is AAA baseball here at 3rd division, this is like AA baseball, but the connection's stronger because MLS Next Pro is the reserve league directly tied to Major League Soccer. There are 27 U.S.-based MLS clubs, and there are 29 clubs in the Next Pro League. Okay, so that's all 27 U.S. teams plus 2 independents that are just in there also. And that's a team from North Carolina, and that's a team from Chattanooga. So I saw the Chattanooga Red Wolves play in USL League One. There's an independent club called Chattanooga FC that's been around longer than these leagues have even existed. And it's a wonderful story of just grassroots, community investment. Just, it's great to see. Somebody made the rule that the 2 Chattanooga teams can't be in the same league, which I think is a terribly wasted opportunity for a natural rivalry. Those 2 teams actually met each other in Open Cup play this year, and they packed the stadium out. They had over 16,000 people packing the place out. It was jumping. It was electric for Division 3 soccer. It was amazing. It was everything you want to see from grassroots soccer in America. All right, so the 3rd league that's in this 3rd division, NISA, this is an old graphic. they actually failed to qualify for third division this current season. So they're actually no longer here right now. They still exist. I think they must be down here at this next level. They're actually this is where it gets a little murky. NISA does have a presence at the amateur level, and their business goal is to be able to place enough teams in the third division again. So they hope to be back. Okay. So for now, there's only these two leagues that are active in the third division. That's where professional soccer stops. Okay. Everything below this is amateur. But I want to tell you this. The USL has plans, and they've already announced them, to place a league in the top division. They want to be a division. They want to have a Division I presence. It's probably not really fair to say they're going to be competing directly with Major League Soccer because Major League Soccer is so far above the minimum requirements. And I'm imagining the USL Division I league will just barely meet that. We'll be at the minimum, is what I'm guessing. It doesn't exist yet. Like all these requirements I'm talking about, 15,000 seaters, media partners, all this kind of stuff. They don't have all the pieces in place yet. So they don't qualify yet, but they have a goal within the next couple of years to put a league there. They're probably going to pull from the top of the table from their Division II league, but they're going to create a new league, USL Premier or something like that. And they're going to have 3 levels of professional ball, and they want to institute promotion relegation. And it's the possibility of that has a lot of soccer fans excited. So, in case you don't know what that means, it's if the teams, let's say the bottom 2 teams that finish last in their top division league, they're actually are going to be forced to play in the next lower level the next year. And the top 2 finishers get to go up to Division I. And so through merit, teams will be able to either climb or fall through these 3 levels after USL gets a team into that top division, which they're hoping to do in the next couple of years. So that's the promise. That's the carrot that's out in front of soccer fans, is that we're going to get promotion relegation, at least within USL. Okay. Major League Soccer is going to remain closed, but that's what they're looking to do right there. After the 3 divisions, you drop into semi-pro and amateur level. USL League 2 is both. Some players, I guess this means some players are getting paid something, though not a living wage. But it also sees a lot of college players playing here during the summer season and not losing their eligibility in college. And so my hometown of Columbus, Georgia, has a team in its second year of existence, and they just completed their first season in USL League 2. I know I'm small in the corner, but I went to a game. That little league actually has a team near me in Tennessee. And so when Columbus came up and visited and played them, I went to that match and had a lot of fun. So NPSL is I believe NPSL is semi-pro. UPSL is massive. UPSL is amateur, is controlled by the U.S. Amateur Soccer Adult Association or something like that. There's over 400 clubs in UPSL. These are the kind of teams that you and I might go play for on the weekend, okay? But within UPSL, they have multiple levels, and they do promotion relegation within those levels. And at their top level, they're having a playoff and naming a champion. And I believe the champion is awarded as a prize. They're given a berth in the U.S. Open Cup, which I think is pretty cool. And so, speaking of the Open Cup, it's called the Open Cup because it's open to all levels of play. All of these teams are playing in the Open Cup. Well, I should say all at the well, there's no simple way to say this. So right now, because it changes every year, but currently only the Major League Soccer teams that did not make the playoffs the year before in league play will play in the Open Cup the next year, and all the other teams send their farm team, send their developmental team. So you're not going to have next pro teams and Division One teams from the same club in the tournament. Okay, it's going to be either or, and the ones that made the playoffs in MLS, they don't participate in the next Open Cup. So that's how they have it broken down right now. I hope that changes in the future. We'll see what happens. But USL League One participates, USL Championship participates, and I love the Open Cup because it's really it's kind of even though you end up in the final rounds with all MLS teams, the whole tournament is to me a celebration of minor league soccer because it may be a minor or secondary or tertiary trophy for MLS. It is the end all be all for these minor leagues. Okay. And of course, down here at the very bottom is college. The college ball is not directly governed by the U.S. Soccer Federation, but they're associated with it. And these are just three examples. There's a bunch down here, and at the amateur level, there's a lot more too. This graphic is just kind of keeping it simple. But these top three, that's about all that we have going on right there. There's more to it than this. I can't see the chat when I've got my screen share up. Let me just pause and see what I have going on. All right, I have Jaden ask me of any trials that you know going on. I'm sorry, I don't. I wish I do. So promotion relegation. I see Barbecue Chase asked about that, and I think I probably went ahead and covered it already. But it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, here's the thing. European leagues, they don't have, as I understand it, they don't have playoffs and finals the way we do. Okay, they just they play the regular season. Whoever's at the top of the table wins the league. So, but what they get because of promotion relegation, you have games of interest all up and down the table. It's not just the stuff happening at the top, the race to the end to see who wins the championship. You also have people playing at the bottom to avoid regulation. So it creates interest toward the end of the season that there's actually still stakes on the table for those clubs down there. All right. So even though it's not, stakes you'd rather not be playing for, at least there's a reason to watch and there's a reason to play hard. In the US, our lower table interest comes in what's near the playoff line. And so that's about the best we have. Soccer purists love the idea of promotion relegation. They love an open system here's the ideal. Okay. Here's the utopia with an open system of promotion relegation that anybody can go out and start a league. You can go start one in your neighborhood, find a league to play in. And if you keep winning the league you're in, you can keep moving up. And theoretically, you could end up in the Premier League. So if you're an English club. So if you have an opportunity to keep climbing up if you keep winning. And so that's very appealing to a lot of people. And even if the USL institutes it, it's still going to be a closed system. Okay. It's still not technically an open system, but at least you're getting movement between three different divisions. And in ISA, when they can get back into the third division, they're going to want to do the same between these two levels right here. And of course, UPSL does everything within themselves because they're so huge. All right. So, it's interesting. It's interesting. But guess what? This is not all. So I'm going to try to flip this here. Let me see if I can. Is it going to let me? All right. Take a second. Don't panic. That's a lot of logos. So first of all, ignore the middle triangle. It's actually out of date. You can see there is no next pro at the third division. Okay. This is the best graphic I can find. I want to acknowledge the professional women's game. Okay. Which if you tilt your head to the left, that's the triangle to your right. That's the women's pyramid. And this is as far as I can tell, this is current. Top division, NWSL, USLS for Super League. That's the second division in women's soccer. And that's it for professional ball. Below that line, starting in the third tier, okay, this is all semi-pro and amateur. But I'll tell you, the criteria is different for women. The requirements to be a Division I women's league are roughly the same as being a Division II men's league, okay? You don't need a 15,000 seater. You only need a 5,000 seater. So, and you don't need a population of 1 million and 3/4 of your clubs. You just need 700,000. They do require more net worth, I think, from the ownership group. And that's really just a hedge against volatility. You know how it is with minor league teams, minor leagues. There's a lot of teams starting and collapsing and leagues collapsing. And what US Soccer is looking for is a guarantee of stability. All right. And so that's why you get that with the women's league. And again, USL has a women's presence. And I just wanted to point that out because they do have Division I and Division II professional ball, although their criteria are roughly equivalent to the men's Division II and Division III. If you tilt your head the other way and look to your left, there are professional leagues in America that are indoor soccer. That's still a thing that happens, but these criteria are a lot looser. They're I guess less enforced. It's a lot more casual over here. It's not tightly regulated. But I think there is only one major league that you consider major league across 3 time zones and that kind of thing. And everything else is very local. There's a lot of teams. You probably have one near you, but it's all very regionalized. It's all just within a very local area. So anyway, I hope I have not confused you. I hope I have clarified things. This is the landscape. You have divisions and leagues are separate. Okay. Although it gets confusing because for the top 2 divisions, there's only 1 league each in them, but it's not guaranteed to stay that way. Somebody else could apply for and be awarded that status if they meet the criteria. So, and these are there are 3 levels of professional men's soccer, and then you've got the amateur and semi-pro level. What I love, so this is kind of like AAA and AA and single A baseball, but only in case of Next Pro and MLS is it actually a developmental league, an actually farm team that are your teams, your franchise's own reserves. So anyway, I'm going to flip back over where I can see the chat. Does that make sense to everybody? So when I'm talking, I want to be able to say USL Championship, and people know what I mean. If I say Division II, I want you to know what I mean. I have to stop and explain every time. This is kind of like AAA baseball. It's the highest level of minor league. All that kind of stuff. You can let me see what we got here. Smoke Signal says very clear, and will be a broadcast I can refer to others to explain it. So Smoke Signal's Larry. He and I were at the Chattanooga Red Wolves game last week. Had a lot of fun. Barbecue Chase, good job. League organization schedules, crowning champions has always been confusing. Yeah. So looking at this, it helps me explain one of the appeals that the U.S. Open Cup has for me. And that is that teams from all levels can play in it. And you get cross-divisional matchups. So a couple years ago, I went to go see the Red Wolves play in a U.S. Open Cup match. Well, they were playing Birmingham. Birmingham's up here, and Chattanooga is down here. So it's like watching. It's like going to watch a AA team play a AAA team. So they were going to be the underdogs, and they did lose. But I think it is helpful to understand the different levels at play. So when you can get a third division team playing a major league soccer team, these David and Goliath matchups where these lower division teams have a chance to go for their glory against, like David and Goliath. They're just going to try to take down the giant. I love the U.S. Open Cup for its longevity, for its long history, and for the chance of this cross-divisional play. Just a note for those of you that might be interested in watching the Birmingham Legion play soccer. They are in the USL Championship. They have their own reserve team down here at the amateur level, USL League Two. They are in that same league that my hometown team, Columbus is in. Um, this is not true for it's not true for every USL Championship club, but for Birmingham at least, they have a farm team, a reserve team that plays at this level. And there's something else I want to say about that, but I forgot what it was. Anyway, there you go. That's what I've got for you. This is how the leagues are broken down. Different levels of play, different divisions that are based on criteria set by the U.S. Soccer Federation. And if you're a league and you have enough teams put together, you can go to the federation and apply for sanctioning. You can apply for status. And then they will look at what you have and they will determine if you are a Division I league or if you are Division II or if you are Division III. And you go from there. Okay, so there's no guarantee MLS is going to keep a monopoly at the top. USL hopes to place a league in that top division, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where the public support is. If there are two Division I leagues and one of them is sitting at the top of a promotion relegation system, I'm a big Major League Soccer fan, as is obvious. But I'd be very interested in that status quo if that were to come about. So I'm actually rooting for the USL to pull that off. I want all these leagues to succeed, men's, women's, indoor, just whatever. I want to see the sport grow. That's what I got for you tonight. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to throw anything at me in the chat? I'll be glad to see what I can do for you. Thank you for listening in. We are going to, I'll be back next week, every week, same time. Okay. I'm still having a hard time figuring out what time zone my laptop's using when I set these links up. Apparently my laptop's on mountain time or something, because I thought I had it right this time and I still didn't. But regardless of what YouTube tells you, it would always be 9 Eastern, 8 Central. So anyway, that's all I got for you. We have Leagues Cup starting next week. That is a tournament that shuts down the Major League Soccer season, and it shuts down the Liga MX season. And we have every team from both US and Mexico, MLS and Liga MX, those top divisions, Division I's of both countries, are playing one giant tournament that's going to last about a month. It all gets started next week. So I don't see more comments popping in, so that's going to do it. Watch some soccer with me, and I will talk to you next time.